Hey guys, it's AK, and we are back for another lunch talk. This time around, we are with founder, maker, mastermind behind our CBD Roller 911 Plus, which you guys are almost all of you, I would say, are familiar with. It's something that we were really excited to talk to them about because we get tons of questions from you about exactly how it works and ingredients. So rather than hearing it from us, we are now bringing you directly to Tom, who is going to be able to answer all these questions and more, and tell us how the brand all got started, really. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So let's just get right into it. Tell us a little bit about you and how the idea to start this brand all came about.
Well, I'm Tom Beighley. I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I'm a veteran former Marine. I say that not for the kudos, more so as you understand, I have a lot of pain. My body hurts. So I was in the Corps from 2004, 2009, got out of the Corps and started kind of managing my PTSD and my pain and all those sorts of things with cannabis rather than, standard medicine. I wanted to stay away from the VA. I didn't want to get caught up in all that mess. Plus it was a lot of paperwork and I had enough to do in other places. So I kind of went on my own, and this was a slow evolution. I mean, it wasn't like, this works, and I've been using it ever since. It's just been something that cannabis has helped me a lot, so many different ways. It's really impossible to cover them all, but solving my pain. I'm really into fitness. I was a trainer for a while. I got into a bit of competitive bodybuilding, and I ended up having some shoulder problems, and I kind of put 911 together based on a lot of the things that I used as I was trying to self-treat through those times when I was either, in between training when I was getting hurt or when I was just really sore and couldn't move and, crying, couldn't get out of bed, whatever you have you. So that's kind of where it came from. Sort of the guts. It's sort of like the nuts and bolts of what I've done to keep myself whole for a long time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So just to give us a little bit of perspective, what were some of the pains and issues that you were feeling? We have a lot of people that come in and they'll say their neck or their back. They're whoa.
Right.
So
I started in
of how much of a use this has in so many different ways.
Yeah, and it's funny because when we started doing this, we knew it works for pain. But as we were using it, we started finding so many other things to use it for that it was just it almost made it hard to market because we're well, it goes well for this, it works well for this too, So ultimately, though, DMSO was kind of the delivery system that was settled on, and that was one of the things that I used when I started treating those injuries was my shoulders, whether it was from carrying packs or, just wear and tear on my body over time. Killing it in the gym, probably a lot of overdoing it in the gym before I really knew what I was doing. Probably contributed a lot to that. Gotta hate those Arnold presses. Yeah. But, the thing I started first using DMSO for was my shoulder joints, my AC joint, as a matter of fact. And I ended up having surgery on it just because postural things like that. So, form is important. So I started using it for that. I had a lot of success. I ended up having shoulder surgery. And I started using CBD, honestly, a little bit during my recovery, but as far as purposes for use and stuff like that, I use DMSO on my knees when I'm doing squats or after squats or just anytime, sometimes, especially during a bulk cycle, you're putting extra weight on your frame, right? So all that compression is going to happen to your joints, whether it's your hips, your knees, your feet, whatever. So I started using it for those things, and that would sort of help. And it's a nice thing about it is that you can kind of use it just to treat whatever you're having at the time. Whereas a normal CBD, it's great. You could take it orally or whatever, but it's going to treat everything. And 911 wasn't designed to work for whatever you need it to work specifically. I'll wake up some mornings and I'll get cricks in my neck and I'll put that stuff on, and halfway down the road, I turn left and I'm like, oh, it doesn't hurt anymore. But that's not to say that it works every time. Like everybody has different pain thresholds, right? So, where your pain threshold may be a lot higher, you might need a little bit more to like knock it out. So, but shoulders, neck, like I think one of the most compelling things has been arthritis that I've seen with older people. My grandmother, actually, two of my grandmothers have had either the ability to get off of bed rest or take up old hobbies like teaching piano and stuff that they weren't able to do anymore because how bad their arthritis or their health was. So it was really exciting for me to like right out of the gates. It was really a lot of passion when I talk to people because it was like, hey, I help my grandma. And they're like, yeah, that's great, man. Everybody's supposed to help their grandma. But, it was exciting for me because, right in my circle, I could see it working. So it was like, all right, well, if I can convince these people that never believe anything I tell them, then they should be able to tell everybody else. So sciatica is a really big one as well. I don't want to derail progress, but sciatica is huge. If you have back pain, whether it's compression, whether it is a tweak from lifting, whether it's just that, you're bloating and carrying more weight, or you're doing some advanced training. We've had some people, and I'm not at the liberty to say what, but in major televised competitions use these products and not only make it through, but place pretty high and even win in some cases. So power lifters, if you're a power lifter, you owe it to your joints to lube them up. And this isn't necessarily like an alternative to glucosamine or MSM or anything that you might take in that respect. So you would definitely still need to take something like that for overall wellness. But like, if you've got if you train hard and your joints and tendons and stuff are thanking you for it, I mean, this is kind of where it's designed. It sort of, helps you keep going.
So let's go back just a little bit to exactly breaking down what CBD is for those customers that don't necessarily know where it comes from or what it actually does for the body.
Right. Yeah. So actually, I don't know if you follow us on Instagram or Facebook, but I've been doing a video blog about some of these things, and that's something that came up. So I just always start off with this. You have cannabis. Cannabis is a dirty word. Everybody looks at cannabis and they're like, that means stuff. And it's not the case. There's two plants that fall under cannabis umbrella. There's hemp and there's marijuana. Hemp traditionally has a high CBD content with a very low THC content. Marijuana usually has a high THC content with a low CBD content. That said, they're present in both. You can find them in both. However, the only one that's legal is hemp, and at that, it is only legal if it has less than 0.3% THC in it. That's called industrial hemp. So if the product comes from industrial hemp, at this point in time, it's legal in all 50 states. Revert to your state's guidance on how they like that stuff done. But for the most part, if CBD comes from industrial hemp, it's illegal as long as it's under 0.3. So that's now CBD in a sense. CBD stands for cannabidiol, which that's kind of a jump off of a cliff in terms of talking about cannabinoids and everything like that. But basically, CBD is, if you want to call it a molecule, it's a molecule just like THC is. However, THC is psychoactive, so it'll give you a high. It'll make you, have euphoria kind of thing like that. Whereas CBD, the way I describe it is an antipsychotic. So not only is it a non-psychoactive formula, but it's antipsychotic. So for example, if you had THC in your system actively, it was too much. Somebody went, God forbid, to the dispensary and ate some brownies or cookies or something, and it was too much. If you take CBD, it'll actually bring that down. It'll actually, lower that, stabilize you. That's really what it does. So if it can do that in an altered state from THC, it can certainly do that with the chemicals that are already present in the body and bringing those anxiety, inflammation down, those sorts of things. Just kind of wanted to put that out. That's kind of like my standard disclaimer when we start talking about this stuff. It's really easy. The two different plants. So
well, and so how does the DMSO come into play with the CBD? Because they kind of like partner up.
So when we talk about this, I like to talk about, you like to use the term bioavailability and absorption. Those are like the two really good words that I think really describe like what it is. So DMSO on its own, I guess give me 10 seconds on DMSO. DMSO is a byproduct of the paper making process. They take wood, they're compressing, they're cutting the wood down. They're using a sulfur compound. So basically in the sulfur that's extracted, DMSO is created. The DMSO, so for all intent and purpose, DMSO is sulfur. It's a type of sulfur, biological sulfur, if you will. You take that, generally speaking, one of the best things to penetrate in the skin, period. Originally used as a preservative in organ transplant surgery in the 50s. So people would put their, well, not us, but doctors during surgery would put their, patient's brain or heart or lungs or whatever submerged in this liquid, and nothing would happen to it. It would be perfect condition. They could pull it out, put it right in a human, and everything was fine. So, the notion that it was safe is kind of laughable. Like, if you're like, oh, is this safe? I hear a lot of negativity about DMSO. You go and do a Google search, it's like, oh, be careful with DMSO. The reality of it is politics. Back in the 60s, 70s, as Big Pharma was looking at, well, what's the next best thing that we can pull into our wheelhouse and start prescribing to people? DMSO is cheap and it's widely available, which really kind of cancel out its benefit to Big Pharma. So kind of just ignored it. They kind of just pushed it along. But farmers got wind of it in the 80s. Bodybuilders got wind of it in the 80s. They kept using it. It's great. They use it as a topical inflammatory on horses by itself. It's got great properties. One of the unique things about it, besides being really good at getting to the skin, is that when it's mixed or emulsified with something, it will also carry on through the skin. So we had the thought, all right, well, what if we got a good quality CBD and we mix it with DMSO? We'll see, does that penetrate the skin? Does that get the CBD where we want it? Because the problem we also have a problem and a solution. The problem was, if I take a tincture, which is, fat soluble tincture, oil based, let's say that, let's just up the ante and say I'm taking a 25 milligram serving of fat soluble CBD. Fat soluble CBD, you're going to get about 5 to 7% absorption, which means the rest is going to waste, which means out of a 25 milligram dose, you're probably going to get 1.25 milligrams of that actually absorbed. So people are, in essence, yeah, CBD is expensive, but it's more so expensive because you're buying more CBD than you need. That's kind of the issue, is just you're paying more. You're not getting ripped off so much. Well, sometimes you are getting ripped off, but you're not getting ripped off so much as you are just having to buy more because it takes so much to get the job done. Whereas my concept was, if I'm taking a tincture and I drop this and it's going to go all throughout my body. So, maybe I have some anxiety, maybe I have, sore muscles in a couple of different places. It's going to treat all those things, but only a little bit. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe if I took the DMSO and found a way to apply it right to the source of where pain was, then it would go straight through into that pain and wouldn't have to go all around. It wouldn't be diluted and degraded throughout the body. Plus, it sort of solves the bioavailability because you don't have to go through the stomach. So it goes right through the skin, into the tissue, still hits the blood, but you don't have any loss of efficacy. So, depending on how often you use it, it can last you longer or just generally be more effective that way. And then what we found was that was the case.
So how often should someone use it? And are you using it to prevent the pain, or are you using it once the pain shows up? And then, how close to when you first apply it should you reapply it if you feel that, maybe your pain has gotten some management, but you still feel a little bit more?
I think you and I talked about this. I know your mom and I have talked about this before, but every body is different, right? So one person comes into Southern Muscle and they say, hey, I want to lose fat. Your first response is not going to be like, all right, well, here's product off the shelf, take this. You're going to ask more questions about it. You're going to find out what their habits are. You guys do a good job of that. So it's kind of the same thing. It's first and foremost is understanding what the nature of the problems are. If it's an arthritic problem, I'm probably going to recommend somebody go a little bit higher of a dose. If somebody's just sore from working out, maybe not. But the reality is, and this is always the challenge, when we're developing the product, trying to figure out a serving size. What's a serving size of something you roll on? 5 seconds, a quarter? It was really hard to do. So we kind of went away from that, and I kind of just said, what you do draw, if it's, let's say that I have elbow pain or something, I'll draw like a circle around that pain and then I'll color it in. If I really want to get it in there quickly, I'll rub it in. But it really, what I like to say is you want to get ahead of the pain if you have pain. So one dose might even you out. But if you were to do, say, like 2 applications, so put it on, wait maybe 10 minutes until it absorbs and everything, and then put another application on, you could really get ahead of the pain that way. My stepfather personally, who was, I think I told you about this too, he was like the biggest non-believer of the product when I first launched it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start my own company and I'm gonna sell CBD and put it in the roller. And he's like, yeah, okay. And so, and we'd even have like family breakfast and I'd be like, you ready to try it? And he's like, well, eventually, I think it was my mom's birthday or Mother's Day, and I showed up, and one of the things I was giving her was 911 jokes. And all you give us is your product. It's birthday Christmas anymore. So I go and I put that on my stepdad's shoulders. He has 2 torn rotator cuffs, but he's too old. They really don't have the surgery. So we put it on his shoulders, and like he called me the next morning. He was like, I don't know if this is a joke, but like my pain doesn't hurt. He's like, I put it on. He was like, and a little bit later before I went to bed, I put on some more. And then I put on some more this morning. And then he was like, a day later, I still haven't had to use it. So I think it really just depends. Like what you want to do is like if you commit to using enough applications to make the pain stop. If the pain stops, then just regularly use.
Right.
So it's kind of, it's again, it'd be hard for me to say, put it on once, because some people, or sciatica, even put it on once and they're fine. And it's, they don't have pain for 12 hours. Some people will put it on their hands and then a little bit later they'll be like, hey, you know what? I need more. But I think it has to do with, how active you are, what it is you're actually doing. If you're exacerbating a situation, obviously you're going to want to be doing something like that. And you might consider stacking, say, a topical CBD with an oral ingested CBD. So that would be when I would start to recommend that. Once this product's not really intended for anxiety, not intended for mental clarity or anything, it's like really just down the middle of pain. So I'm running away with that freight train, so I'll give it back to you.
And you're right, because I've actually used it for a bunch of things. Like I got a scratch from my dog, so then I'll put it on because it helps my skin heal faster. I've used it when I have a headache. I'll just like rub it on my forehead, and kind of within a few minutes, I even forget I had a headache because
all the time.
Yeah. I've used it for rest. I've used it for soreness after a workout where I'm like, I know I worked out really hard. I can feel like, because you always do, you kind of start feeling your muscles like get sore, especially by the time that you get out of the shower. And so I'm like, rather than like having to deal with this later, I'm just gonna like roll it on and not have to. So I think, like you said, it goes to with the person, with their active lifestyle. If it's somebody that is feeling a lot of pain, they sit a lot at their desk or whatever the case is, they're probably going to use it a little bit more than somebody that is just feeling it when they work out. And that's a question that we always get, like, how much is too much? And for your product specifically, there isn't too much.
That's the way we made it. We didn't want it to be, having anybody having to worry about too much. I mean, I tell people all the time, the amount of, the stuff that's in there is good stuff. The profile that we use for that, we always encourage people to request their certificates of analysis and know what they're putting in their bodies or using. And our product has a really, really nice profile. I spent about a year looking for this profile. So, it's something I really took the time to do, but it's got a good amount of CBG and CBD, which are really good for inflammation. Also, it helps kind of the nervous system alignment, kind of in a similar fashion like magnesium would. Which that's something we're also considering in the future, incorporating into that, because I feel like magnesium would really tie that together. But anyhow, to your point, I've had friends call me. I've burned myself really bad, like cooking, probably because I'm not a very good cook. But like I would burn myself, and then one time I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, do I get an ice cube? And when I saw my bottle of 901, I was like, you know what? Whatever. And I grabbed it and I rolled it on. Not only the pain stopped, but like an hour later, there wasn't even a mark on me anymore. It was just gone. I was just like, can I market it this way?
right.
Really, I'm not suggesting people just like, I broke my ankle. Let me see if this works. But like, experiment with it because I've talked to a lot of people, right? And CBD gets down to like these two. Everybody wants to kind of like place CBD. It's like, oh, it's going to be the next caffeine, or it's going to be the next, it's going to be the next vinegar, or it's going to be this or that. The best one I've kind of heard is like, it's sort of kind of going to be like the next vinegar caffeine. It's like the CBD has purposes that like Chris Rock did a special a long time ago where like, he was in an urban environment with a poor family, and every time he would get hurt, his mom would be like, put some Robitussin on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever seen that. Like, put the Tussin on, let it get in there. But it's kind of funny because every time I'm like, somebody's got a problem, I'm like, put some 911 on it.
Yeah.
It's so cool, but I mean, it actually is pretty effective. I mean, it's not that I'm suggesting it too, but just for those of you out there who don't know, like, it's perfectly safe to drink. DMSO is FDA approved to treat interstitial cystitis, which is a condition of the bladder. So it's FDA approved for consumption, and that CBD is good quality stuff. I wouldn't drink the whole bottle, but
I actually use it on my dog's skin because every time we go to the dog park, he seems to get scratched by another dog, like on his skin. And so rather than him like continue to like lick it or whatnot, I literally will apply it and just kind of let it soak where I watch him so that he doesn't lick it off. So it's actually like absorbed to the skin. But then I just like leave it alone because he licks it. I'm like, the worst that's gonna happen is your tongue goes numb, or not even numb, but you know what I mean? Like it's not, it's not gonna do anything per se for that. Another success story, I guess you could say, is one of our girls at our shop fractured her finger, closing the bed of my mom's truck, and at the time she was still working, so she like rubbed it on her finger and completely like forgot about it, like because the pain went away. She didn't even know that it was fractured. And when she went the next day to the doctor, to the emergency room, they were like, your finger is fractured. And she had no idea because she had been applying the roller on it. And so there was no pain, there was no, so she's been walking around for 24 hours with a fractured finger and had no idea because we were like, here, put this. This will help.
My mom's had carpal tunnel and all that stuff, and she actually had like the surgery that they do. But after the surgery, I don't think it was really related, but she had developed like this, it was almost like a cyst on the side of her hand. And she could never do anything about it. And I guess she had tried a ton of different things, oils, topical stuff she bought at the pharmacy, doctor prescribed stuff, all this. And no matter what, she'd get it to go away, but like a day later or two, it'd be back. And she was like, I think I had a couple of glasses of wine, so my pain tolerance was down or up. And she was like, I just took the roller and I just smashed it and rolled it around, and it's gone. She was like, it's gone. For like 3 days, it's not back. 2 months, it's not back. She's like, I don't know what you're putting in this stuff, but maybe I should go double check. It's like but there's lots of that's for sure.
So where do you see like your brand going, or like where do you see your company? Do you have any other products like this miracle roller that you're working on that you can tell us about? Or
sure. So my background is in supplements. So I'm always looking at different ways to sort of I guess let me put it this way. I'm not always just concerned with like what I'm doing, but I'm also looking at like what everybody else is doing, what I think they're doing well, because I don't want to go and make something that somebody else is already doing well. And so, there's tinctures, there's stuff out there. There's a product that's launching soon with a friend's company that I'm helping with as well. And we talked a little bit about fat soluble CBD, and we didn't talk really about water soluble CBD, but fat soluble CBD, like we described, has a really low absorption rate. We already described the 25 milligrams is actually 1.25. we're launching some soft gels that are going to be much better in terms of their absorption. Maybe a 5 milligram soft gel would be 97% absorption. So whereas you take a 25 milligram dose, you might have 1.25 absorbed, where you take a 5 milligram soft gel and you get 4.5. So you really have 4 times the actual absorption with a fifth of the CBD at half the cost. So it's one of those things that's in the works. It may be, maybe a little while before GB Innovations or Alamo Alternative Health launches any of those, but there are some other companies I'm helping build those brands that I'll definitely pass along to you guys and keep you posted on that. But there's actually a couple of companies that I don't want to say I've consulted with, because that's taking too much credit. They've done a lot of the work, but I've really gotten a lot of joy in just like helping. Just the whole thing started off as like healing. I wanted to heal myself and I wanted to help heal other people. And, once I hit, my grandma was healed. These other people were starting to do well. It just kind of just became a mission, right? It just became a vision that I had to like heal the world through CBD. So I would say that, I'm going to play and I'm going to remain in the spot where, if I can do it better than what's already being done, I will, but I'm constantly looking at where the gaps are in the market. So I'm looking more along the lines of doing things like finding out more economical ways to get the 911 product out there. Maybe, people would be interested in using it for massage, we're using it for these different things. But because some of those other
oh my God, massages, by the way, with like the roller are amazing. I bring it in with my massage therapist and I'm like, here, roll this on me before you start.
I'm telling you, and that's something we did. We got some big old jugs, pump bottles, and we've been going around with that, and it seems to be taking pretty good.
All right, so to wrap it up, Tom, is there anything else that you want people to know about your company or about your product that we've not discussed yet?
I guess I would say this product is kind of the first step in what I'm trying to do is build a resource, a CBD resource, an education library. I'm starting to do these video blogs and stuff like that, just like, things like this that you're doing. And I know you're great at this. Obviously, you can learn a lot from this, but the idea, what I want to, precipitate is like, 911 is more than just a product to sell to people. It's a vision, it's a movement of trying to educate people on the things that you're either taking advantage of, or they may not know, or may not know they need to know. So, as far as, how I can be a resource to anybody is, I check these messages personally. I do all these things myself. I don't have bots and I don't have sales staff just managing this stuff. Like, it comes to my phone. So if people have questions, and they're, maybe even concerned about things and you guys can't help them, which would shock me. I'm always open for questions. I'm always transparent when it comes to the product. And, if I can help in any way, and if my product's not the best thing for you, I'll tell you. I'll be honest with you. I'm more than happy to give kudos to somebody who's doing something that will help somebody better, because it does me no good to give somebody a product that's not going to work for them.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, and it's been really educational. I know this is something that everyone is really going to enjoy watching and learning more about, and we are excited to provide them this knowledge so that everybody can take advantage of your great product. And as you guys know, you can find 911 Plus at every Southern Muscle location. And be patient. Sometimes we do get a waiting list when we run out.
Not anymore.
It is always available. So if you guys have any questions, you're more than welcome to stop in, hit us on our Instagram, or get in touch with Tom over in his Instagram or Facebook page and ask any questions. And again, thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome.
Alrighty. See ya.